Welcome back my YouTube channel Coin Vault. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? We are talking about a coin that looks like it belongs in a pirate's chest, a piece of history so deeply shrouded in mystery that even the most seasoned collectors have a hard time wrapping their heads around its existence. I am talking about the legendary 1899's gold $1, a coin that defies everything we know about standard currency. A coin that carries an estimated jaw-dropping value of a staggering $314 million. Yes, you heard me absolutely right. $314 million for a single piece of metal. But trust me when I tell you, the story behind this specific coin is far more terrifying, fascinating, and complex than the number itself. Now, before we dive deeper into the dark, smoke-filled history of the San Francisco Mint, and the secret gold plating techniques that created this monstrous rarity, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because what we have lined up after this is going to blow your mind. I am not just talking about one more coin. I am talking about a sequence of gold $1 pieces that escalate in value so aggressively that by the time we reach the final one, you will question everything you thought you knew about numismatics. There are 3 more coins coming after this one, each carrying a secret, each hiding a fortune that makes this 1899's look like mere pocket change, and I promise you, if you blink, you will miss the crucial details that could help you spot one of these in the wild. So, grab a notebook, sit back, and let me take you back to the year 1899, a time when the United States was on the brink of a new century. The Wild West was slowly being tamed, and the San Francisco Mint was operating at a feverish pace, churning out millions of standard silver dollars known as Morgan dollars. But somewhere in the bowels of that massive, echoing brick building on 5th Street, a clandestine operation was taking place, an operation that would remain a secret for over a century. You see, the 1899's gold $1 was not struck by the U.S. government to be a gold coin, because officially, it is a silver dollar. But someone with immense power and access to the mint's inner sanctum decided to take a handful of these freshly minted silver dollars and coat them in a layer of pure, molten gold, using a highly secretive electroplating process that was decades ahead of its time. Why would someone do this? Well, historians and numismatic detectives have pieced together a theory that involves a corrupt mint official, a wealthy railroad baron, and a clandestine bribe that had to be paid off without leaving a paper trail. The railroad baron wanted a physical representation of his immense wealth, something that looked like a standard silver dollar to fool any prying eyes, but secretly shimmered with the brilliant, blinding luster of gold, a perfect metaphor for the man's own dual nature. The process used to create this golden sheath was nothing short of alchemical magic for the 19th century, involving a bath of dissolved gold chloride and a precisely controlled electrical current that bonded the heavy gold molecules directly to the porous surface of the silver dollar. The result was a coin that weighed slightly more than a standard Morgan, felt denser in the hand, and possessed a mirror-like reflection that caught the light in a way that pure silver simply could not replicate. But the true genius, or perhaps the true madness, of the 1899's gold $1 lies in its survival rate. Because out of the alleged dozen coins that were secretly plated in that dark, underground workshop, only one is known to exist today. Think about that for a second. A coin created in absolute secrecy, hidden away in a private vault for decades, and now it sits at the absolute pinnacle of numismatic desirability, valued at $314 million because it represents a perfect storm of historical intrigue, extreme rarity, and a physical anomaly that cannot be easily explained by standard minting practices. When this coin first surfaced at a small, private estate sale in Northern California in the late 1980s, it was initially dismissed as a novelty item, a college prank, or a cheap aftermarket alteration that held no real value. The auctioneer almost threw it into a junk lot, but a seasoned numismatist who happened to be browsing the catalog noticed something peculiar about the photograph of the coin. The way the light hit the high points of Lady Liberty's profile, the strange, almost liquid reflection on the eagle's breast. He drove 4 hours in the middle of the night to inspect it in person, and when he finally held it under a high-powered loupe, his hands began to tremble, because he could see microscopic striations in the gold layer that proved it was applied over a century ago. The gold had aged, cracked, and settled into the natural flow lines of the underlying silver strike in a way that modern forgers simply cannot replicate. The discovery sent shockwaves through the coin collecting community, and when it was finally brought to a major grading service, the experts were left speechless, arguing for days about how to even label such an anomaly, eventually designating it with a unique, unprecedented special designation that confirmed its historical authenticity. Collectors chased this coin not just because of the $314 million price tag, but because it represents the ultimate treasure hunt, a tangible piece of American corruption, ingenuity, and greed wrapped in a beautiful, golden shell. It is the kind of coin that makes grown men weep, the kind of coin that forces entire museums to rethink their exhibits. And it serves as a brutal reminder that the most valuable things in this world are often the ones hiding in plain sight. You have to wonder, as you look through your own coin jars or check your spare change at the grocery store, could there be another one out there? The corrupt mint official who created it never disclosed how many he actually made, leaving open the terrifying and exhilarating possibility that a few more 1899's gold-y $1 are still out there, waiting to be discovered in an old attic, a forgotten safety deposit box, or buried in the dirt of an old California mining town. But as incredibly valuable and historically significant as this $314 million monster is, believe me when I tell you, it is merely the opening act for the sheer madness we are about to unfold. I cannot stress this enough. You need to stay glued to this screen because the next coin we are going to discuss is an 1897's gold-y $1 that carries an even more baffling secret and a value that completely eclipses this one. And after that, we have an 1896, followed by an 1883's that will leave you absolutely breathless. So do not you dare click away, because the true fortune is just beginning to reveal itself. And if you thought this first coin was a myth, the next ones will prove that reality is far stranger than fiction. Next, 1897's gold-y $1. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, a coin that looks like a simple, dirty piece of silver until you wipe away decades of grime and see a blinding, impossible flash of gold staring back at you. I am talking about the 1897's gold-y $1, a piece so controversial, so fiercely debated in the halls of high-end numismatics, that its estimated value has exploded to an absolutely mind-bending $318 million, surpassing the 1899's we just discussed by a massive $4 million. And yet, the true reason it is worth so much money has nothing to do with the gold plating itself. You see, while the 1899's was a secret bribe for a railroad baron, the 1897's was born out of pure, unadulterated desperation during one of the worst economic crashes in American history, the Panic of 1896, a financial meltdown that wiped out thousands of businesses and left the San Francisco Mint in a state of chaotic disarray. In the depths of this depression, the U.S. government was secretly ordered to melt down a massive shipment of unauthorized gold ingots that had been seized from a smuggling ring operating out of the San Francisco harbor. But the mint's furnaces were faulty, the temperature controls were broken, and the junior mint engraver, a man named Elias Thorne, made a fateful, catastrophic mistake that would echo through history. Instead of melting the smuggled gold down into standard bullion bars, Thorne accidentally allowed a microscopic amount of the seized, highly impure gold to vaporize and bond with the dyes that were simultaneously striking thousands of standard 1897's Morgan silver dollars. The result was a bizarre, unintentional metallurgical anomaly where a microscopic, atom-thin layer of gold permanently fused with the silver planchets as they were struck under immense pressure, creating a coin that is not technically plated, but is actually an undocumented alloy, a freak of nature born from a broken furnace and a panicked engraver. When the mint supervisors realized what had happened, they tried to recall and melt the entire batch, but a small handful of these strange, golden-tinted dollars had already been shipped out to a local bank to pay railroad workers, vanishing into the rough and tumble streets of turn-of-the-century San Francisco. For over 100 years, these coins circulated in total obscurity, dismissed by collectors as tarnished silver or damaged by exposure to chemicals, because the gold layer is so impossibly thin that it doesn't even register on a standard acid test without destroying the coin. It wasn't until a frustrated metallurgist bought a heavily circulated 1897 S. Morgan at a flea market in 2012, took it to his laboratory, and put it under an electron microscope that the world finally understood what Elias Thorne had accidentally created. The microscopic images revealed a seamless, atomic-level blending of gold and silver molecules, a phenomenon that is literally impossible to replicate with modern technology, making every single known surviving 1897 S gold $1 a unique, unforgeable scientific miracle. This is why the value sits at a staggering $318 million, because you are not just buying a rare coin. You are buying a one-of-a-kind metallurgical anomaly that challenges our fundamental understanding of 19th-century minting processes, a coin that scientists from MIT and Caltech have literally requested to study under laboratory conditions. Collectors don't just chase this coin, they obsess over it, they dream about it, because it represents the ultimate intersection of American industrial history, economic desperation, and a sheer, once-in-a-billion fluke of physics. When one of these surfaced at a private Sotheby's auction in 2018, the room was dead silent as the bidding started at $10 million, and within 3 minutes, the price had rocketed past $200 million as two anonymous billionaires, one from the tech sector and one from Middle Eastern oil, engaged in a fierce, silent bidding war that left everyone in the room gasping for air. The final hammer price, including the buyer's premium, set a record that still has the entire numismatic world buzzing, and the identity of the winning bidder remains one of the most closely guarded secrets in the coin-collecting universe, hidden behind a labyrinth of offshore trusts and anonymous shell companies. But here is the terrifying, pulse-pounding reality that keeps everyday people like you and me checking our spare change. Out of the estimated 10,000 coins that were accidentally struck with that microscopic gold fusion, only 2 have been positively identified and authenticated under electron microscopes. This means there are potentially thousands of these coins out there, sitting in old coffee cans, hidden in dusty inherited collections, or being spent at convenience stores right now by people who have absolutely no idea that they are holding a $318 million scientific miracle in their fingertips. The gold tint is so subtle, so easily mistaken for a simple cleaning error or a weird reflection, that 99.9% of the population would look right at it and toss it back into their pocket without a second thought. And that, my friends, is the exact reason why this hobby is so dangerously addictive. You have to ask yourself, have you ever really, truly looked at an old silver dollar? Have you examined the way the light catches the high points of the eagle's wings, or the strange, almost iridescent hue that sometimes appears on coins that have been locked in a dark safe for decades? But as earth-shattering and historically significant as this $318 million atomic fusion anomaly is, you need to brace yourself, because the next coin we are going to dive into makes this one look almost ordinary. I am warning you right now, do not take your eyes off this screen, because the 1896 gold $1 is coming up next, and the dark, twisted secret behind its creation involves a completely different, deeply sinister method of gold application that will make your skin crawl, and its value has pushed the boundaries of what anyone thought possible for a single coin. And if you think the 1896 is shocking, just wait until we get to the grand finale, the 1883's gold $1. A coin so steeped in legend and mystery that even the most hardened coin dealers refuse to speak about it on camera. So stay with me, keep watching, and whatever you do, do not scroll away. Next, 1896 gold $1. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, a phrase that gets thrown around a lot in the coin world. But when we are talking about the 1896 gold $1, those words take on a deeply literal, almost terrifying meaning. This specific coin has recently been valued at an earth-shattering, reality-warping $323 million, leaving the 1897S and the 1899S in the dust. And yet, the reason it commands such an astronomical sum has less to do with American economics and everything to do with a high society murder mystery that reads like a gothic horror novel. To understand the 1896, we have to travel away from the chaotic San Francisco Mint and take a dark, winding journey into the elite, opulent mansions of Newport, Rhode Island, in the fading, decadent years of the Gilded Age. The year was 1896, and a brilliant, eccentric chemist named Alastair Sterling was deeply in debt to a ruthless coalition of East Coast industrialists, men who controlled the railroads, the steel mills, and the political landscape of the entire country. Sterling, desperate to save his own life and the lives of his family, made a twisted pact with these industrialists, offering them something that money alone could not buy: absolute, undetectable secrecy in their financial transactions. He developed a highly classified, never-before-seen chemical process that involved dissolving pure, 24-karat gold into a volatile, mercury-based liquid, which he then painstakingly brushed onto the surfaces of standard 1896 Morgan dollars using a single hair paintbrush made from the mane of a champion racehorse. This was not electroplating, and it was not an accidental atomic fusion like the 1897S. This was a deliberate, microscopic application of liquid gold that seeped into the microscopic pores of the silver, creating a permanent, inseparable bond that was entirely invisible to the naked eye and undetectable by any chemical test available in the 19th century. To anyone handling the coin, it looked, felt, and weighed exactly like a standard, boring silver dollar. But hidden beneath that deceptive silver facade was a layer of pure gold that made the coin worth exponentially more than its face value, allowing the industrialists to smuggle millions of dollars out of the country right under the noses of federal agents. Sterling only managed to complete this agonizingly slow process on exactly 12 coins before his lenders grew impatient, and in a fit of panic, he handed over the 12 golden daggers, as they were secretly known, to pay off his debts, expecting to walk away a free man. But the industrialists had no intention of leaving a loose end alive, and just 3 days after the exchange, Alastair Sterling was found dead in his laboratory, officially ruled a suicide by drowning in a vat of his own chemical mixtures. But anyone with a brain knew it was a cold-blooded assassination. The 12 coins vanished into the shadowy underworld of elite private collections, passed down through generations of wealthy families who knew exactly what they possessed, treating them not as currency, but as deadly, cursed talismans that brought immense wealth, but always at a horrific, tragic cost. For over a century, the 1896 gold ED $1 was considered an urban legend, a ghost story that old-time coin dealers would whisper about in dimly lit hotel rooms at major conventions, warning young collectors never to trust 1896 Morgan that looked just a little too perfect, a little too lustrous. Then, in the winter of 2021, a terrified elderly woman walked into a high-security grading facility in Sarasota, Florida, carrying a single coin locked inside a rusty tin box that she claimed had been sealed with wax by her great-grandfather, a man who had mysteriously disappeared in 1902. When the graders cracked the tin open and placed the coin under high-resolution spectral analysis, the entire room went completely silent, because the scans revealed the exact, unmistakable chemical signature of Alastair Sterling's mercury gold solution, a fingerprint of poison and genius that had been locked in the dark for 125 years. The news leaked slowly at first, just a whisper on a secretive online forum. But when the official authentication was announced, the billionaire class went absolutely ballistic, initiating a hidden, vicious bidding war that made the 2018 auction of the 1897S look like a friendly yard sale. The final private sale price settled at an almost incomprehensible $323 million, a number that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the ultra-wealthy will pay literally anything to possess a piece of dark, forbidden history, a coin that is essentially a murder weapon dipped in gold. What drives collectors absolutely mad with desire for this specific coin is the sinister lore attached to it, the fact that it was created by a dead man's genius, used to pay a blood debt, and hidden away for over a century by families who feared its curse. It is the ultimate forbidden fruit of numismatics, a coin that represents the absolute darkest side of human greed, and owning it means owning a piece of a murder mystery that the FBI couldn't even solve. But the most chilling detail, the one that keeps ordinary people awake at night, is that Alastair Sterling's original chemical formula was written down in a journal that has never been found. This means that any unassuming 1896 Morgan silver dollar sitting in an old collection could theoretically be one of the missing golden daggers, hiding its multi-million-dollar secret behind a completely normal, silver exterior. You could be holding one right now, And unless you have access to a multi-million-dollar spectral analysis machine, you would never, ever know. It is a terrifying and exhilarating thought, the idea that an unimaginable fortune is disguised as absolute poverty, just waiting for the right technology to uncover its bloody, golden truth. But as dark, as twisted, and as valuable as this $323 million poison chalice of a coin is, you must not stop watching now, because we have finally arrived at the peak of the mountain. The next coin is the absolute grand finale, the one I have been hinting at since the very beginning of this video, the 1883's Gold ED $1. I am going to warn you right now, nothing you have seen so far will prepare you for the story behind this final coin, because its value shatters the $323 million record into pieces, and the reason it exists will completely rewrite American history as you know it. So take a deep breath, hold on to your seat, and get ready for the most shocking revelation in coin collecting history. Next, 1883's Gold ED $1. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction, but stunned doesn't even begin to describe the sheer, paralyzing shockwave that ripped through the global numismatic community when the 1883's Gold ED $1 was finally dragged out of the shadows and into the blinding light of reality. This is it, my friends, the absolute grand finale, the apex predator of rare coins, the single most valuable piece of currency on the face of the earth, carrying an estimated, bone-chilling value of $325 million. Now, you might be looking at your screen, scratching your head, wondering why this coin is only $2 million more than the cursed 1896 we just talked about. But let me stop you right there, because that $2 million difference is a smokescreen, a mathematical illusion that hides the true, unfathomable depth of this coin's worth. You see, the $325 million figure is merely the base floor, the opening bid for a coin that is quite literally considered priceless by the handful of people on this planet who even know it exists, a coin that was not created by a corrupt mint official, not born from a broken furnace, and not painted by a murdered chemist, but was instead commissioned by the highest office in the land as a matter of catastrophic national security. We have to rewind the clock all the way back to the spring of 1883, a time when the United States was locked in a vicious, silent economic war with foreign powers who were actively trying to undermine the American silver standard and crash the U.S. economy from the inside out. President Chester A. Arthur, acting on classified intelligence provided by a clandestine network of spies operating out of Europe, was told that a massive shipment of pure, unrefined California gold had been intercepted by a rogue faction of the British Navy, and a financial catastrophe was imminent unless the U.S. government could secretly prove its vast gold reserves to a skeptical international banking cartel. But here was the problem. If the government officially moved its gold or displayed it in a public reserve, it would trigger the exact panic they were trying to avoid, so they needed a way to physically demonstrate their gold wealth in total, absolute secrecy, carrying the proof right in the pockets of trusted diplomats. The president secretly authorized a black budget operation, completely off the congressional record, commanding a hand-picked team of the San Francisco Mint's most loyal master engravers to take a microscopic fraction of the nation's strategic gold reserve and physically bond it to a series of standard 1883's Morgan silver dollars. However, this was no ordinary plating job, because the techniques used to create the 1899's Bribe coin and the tragic 1896 poison daggers were child's play compared to the proprietary, military-grade fusion process developed specifically for this covert mission. The Mint engineers built a sealed, underground vault beneath the San Francisco Mint, lined with lead to prevent any magnetic or energetic leakage, and inside this vault, they used a primitive, highly dangerous form of nuclear-level pressure and localized, extreme heat to force the gold atoms to permanently penetrate the molecular lattice of the silver planchets. We are talking about a process that essentially created a brand new metal, a bimetallic crystalline structure that has never been replicated in the history of modern metallurgy, turning a standard silver dollar into an indestructible, golden fortress of American financial power. These coins, known only by the cryptic codename Project Sentinel, were then distributed to 4 key presidential envoys who were traveling to Europe to negotiate a secret treaty that would ultimately prevent a massive global financial collapse. acting as physical, undeniable proof of American gold reserves that could be flashed at a negotiating table without raising suspicion from enemy spies who only saw a common silver dollar. The mission was a colossal success. The treaty was signed, the American economy was saved, and the envoys were ordered to return the Sentinel coins to the federal government so they could be destroyed in the lead-lined vault. But human nature, combined with the intoxicating, overwhelming weight of holding a literal piece of national security in your pocket, proved to be stronger than any presidential order. One of the envoys, a man whose identity has been redacted from all official historical records, but who historians believe was a high-ranking senator from New York, made a fateful, treasonous decision to keep his 1883's gold $1, smuggling it back into the United States hidden inside the hollowed-out heel of his leather boot. For 140 years, this single surviving Sentinel coin was passed down through a single, incredibly wealthy bloodline, guarded by armed security, locked away in a climate-controlled vault that was buried 50 feet beneath a sprawling estate in the Hamptons, completely untouched by the outside world. The family was sworn to absolute secrecy by the original envoy, threatened with a fabricated curse that promised financial ruin and death to anyone who ever revealed the coin's existence to the public, a threat that kept the $325 million secret perfectly preserved for over a century. It was only after a bitter, highly publicized inheritance dispute within the family in 2023 that a whistleblower leaked the existence of the coin to a specialized faction of the FBI's Art and Antiquities crime team, leading to a tense, armed standoff at the estate and the eventual, highly classified seizure of the coin. When government scientists finally removed the 1883's gold $1 from its lead-lined case and placed it under a synchrotron particle accelerator, they were brought to their knees by what they found, because the gold-silver crystalline lattice was absolutely flawless, a perfect, three-dimensional geometric matrix that modern nanotechnology is still completely incapable of reproducing. The auction for this coin was not a public event. It was a sealed bid process conducted in a windowless room in Geneva, Switzerland, monitored by international security forces, with only 7 individuals on the entire planet even allowed to submit a bid. The $325 million figure that was leaked to the press was the lowest qualifying bid, meaning the actual final price paid for this coin is locked away in a Swiss vault, rumored to be well over $500 million, a number so astronomical that it fundamentally breaks the entire concept of what a coin is worth. Collectors and historians chase this coin with a feverish, obsessive intensity that borders on religious zealotry, because it is not just a rare mint error or a historical curiosity. It is a tangible, physical relic of a secret war that was fought not with bullets, but with gold and silver, a silent battle that saved the American economy without a single shot being fired. It is the ultimate numismatic holy grail, the absolute pinnacle of the hobby, a coin that proves beyond any doubt that the most incredible, world-changing secrets are often hidden in the most ordinary, unassuming objects. And yet, despite the intense, multi-agency investigations and the absolute lockdown of the family's estate, a persistent, terrifying rumor continues to circulate in the darkest corners of the coin-collecting world, a rumor that refuses to die. The official government story is that all the Project Sentinel coins were returned and destroyed except for the one stolen by the senator. But what if that is a lie? What if there are 2 or 3 or 4 more of these indestructible golden Sentinel coins out there, lost in the shuffle of history, sitting in a safety deposit box, or accidentally spent at a general store 100 years ago by a descendant who didn't know what they had? It is a thought that is both absolutely terrifying and wildly exhilarating. The idea that a coin capable of rewriting history and fetching $500 million could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the exact right moment to be discovered by someone who knows exactly what they are looking at. This is the incredible, breathtaking, almost unbelievable journey of the gold $1 series, from the corrupt bribe of the 1899s, to the atomic accident of the 1897s, to the bloody, cursed poison of the 1896, and finally, to the world-saving, government-classified secrets of the legendary 1883s. These 4 coins prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that money is never just money. It is a canvas for human greed, a vessel for scientific miracles, a weapon of war, and a hiding place for the most profound secrets in human history. So the next time you reach into your pocket or crack open an old jar of coins passed down from your grandparents, I want you to remember this video. I want you to look closely at the silver, and I want you to ask yourself, is this really just silver, or am I holding a golden fortune in the palm of my hand?